You've just spent all day harvesting your peppers. You drag yourself inside, you throw your giant pile of peppers on the counter, and you call it a day. The next day you come in from work, you walk inside your house, and you just find this giant pile of peppers sitting on the counter, staring at you accusingly. You can almost hear them saying, "If you leave me here too long, you know you're just going to throw me away, right? Yeah? Is that what you want? Yeah, keep walking." There's two main ways that I normally process my peppers for future use, and I'm about to show you both of them. Okay, one of the ways that I normally preserve peppers is I dehydrate them. So the first thing you're gonna wanna do is take the peppers you've got and rinse them off in water really well. Get all the dirt and just fertilizer or whatever you've got on them. Get that all off. Dry off your peppers when you're done rinsing them. And then you're gonna wanna sort the peppers kind of just however you want. Today I'm gonna be sorting mine by color and heat level. Now you're gonna wanna get your knife and your cutting board. After that, you're gonna wanna get some rubber gloves. No glove, no love. You always wanna wear your gloves while you're dealing with hot peppers. It might also be smart to turn on a fan or something like that just to kind of help circulate the air. All right, now take your peppers and you're gonna wanna cut every single pepper in half. I know that that's kind of annoying. You don't wanna be cutting every single one in half, but trust me, you do. Every once in a while, one out of every few hundred peppers or so, you're gonna find that some of them have mold or like little worms or just something inside of them. Because it doesn't matter if you're dehydrating, freezing, eating fresh, whatever, you don't wanna be dealing with just nasty peppers in whatever you're gonna be using these peppers for. Some of the things you can use dehydrated peppers for is pepper powder. You can use your pepper powder for, different types of dry rubs, hard candies, suckers, gummies, beef jerky, spicy dips, seasoning, spices, pepper tincture, salts, so many different things. I would say that this is the one way of preserving my peppers that I end up using it the most. You really can just put it into anything. I'd really like to know what your guys' favorite thing to do with dehydrated peppers is. So if you just leave a comment down below, that would be awesome. The next thing you want to do is just start filling up the different trays on your dehydrator. If you don't have a dehydrator, you can also use just like an oven with some baking sheets. I'll show you how to do that here in just a minute. If you have a dehydrator, fill all your trays with the peppers. If you end up having more trays and you haven't cut all your peppers yet, cut some more peppers, just enough to fit in your trays. You don't want to cut too many because if they can't fit, you're gonna end up just wasting the peppers that you already cut. For this example, I have mine on the kitchen counter, but trust me, as soon as I was done filming, I definitely brought these into my pepper room where I'm the only one that ever goes in there. But even with it being in that separate room, you could still smell the peppers across the entire house. Now go ahead and turn your dehydrator on and forget about it for a good 6 to 8 hours or so. Now if you don't have a dehydrator, take your baking sheets full of peppers and put them in the oven at about 150 degrees Fahrenheit. That's about 65 degrees Celsius. Put it in the oven and if possible, leave a little bit of crack in your oven door just to let some of that moisture escape. With this one, you can't really place your oven elsewhere. So just kind of brace yourself for that capsaicin that's gonna be taking over your kitchen. After about 6 to 8 hours, you wanna check on your peppers. And when you do that, you wanna move the trays around. Your peppers aren't gonna be done yet, but the bottom trays are going to be dehydrating faster than your top trays. So you want to take those bottom trays and switch them around to where they're on top and the ones that were on top are now on the bottom. While you're doing this, kind of check your peppers. At this point, they should be a little bit squishy. They shouldn't be dehydrated quite yet. So just switch the trays around, put them back down and let them keep dehydrating for a while. And check on them again in about 6 to 8 hours. If you're not sure if they're dry or not, just take some of those peppers and squeeze them. They'll just fall apart and disintegrate. There will be no give, no squish, nothing like that. Once they're completely dry, there's a couple things you can do with them. Put these halved pepper pods into some bags like I have here, or you can also turn them into powder like I'm about to do. I'm using a coffee grinder to grind my peppers into powder. The pros of the coffee grinder is it really just grinds them down to pretty much like a baby powder, just super fine pepper powder. You can also use a blender. With a blender, you're gonna be able to put a lot more peppers in there, but it's not gonna get it down to as fine of a powder as a coffee grinder is. I think this coffee grinder was 15, 20 bucks on Amazon. I'll put a link in the description below. Before you start grinding this into powder, I'm gonna give you like this super duper serious warning. You've probably heard this on plenty of other channels that when you're dealing with grinding peppers up or kind of peppers in general, especially dry peppers, that you wanna wear some kind of eye protection or breathing protection, something like that. Today I didn't. I definitely should have in hindsight because I ended up just coughing up a lung. I barely made it through. I didn't even end up finishing grinding all my peppers because I couldn't breathe anymore and it gave me a cough for about 2 days after this. I even moved it outside to where there was more ventilation and it didn't really help. We're in the middle of COVID, so I ended up putting a disposable mask on thinking that would help a little bit. It definitely didn't. What ended up happening is the mask got full of the powder and that powder got up into my eyes and into my skin and I started breathing it in and it was not fun at all. I'm not doing this again until I have some kind of breathing protection. Once you're done, this powder can go into spice containers or little bags. If you put them into bags, the smell is probably going to leach out of the bag, so a plastic or glass container is probably going to work best. I ended up putting mine into glass jars just to keep that smell and everything contained. Depending on how you store it, as far as temperature and humidity and everything like that goes, these can stay good for 3+ years. This is the one way that you can really preserve your peppers for a very long time. Before we finish processing these, if you want to know how to grow your peppers, use your peppers, and just have fun exploring the endless possibilities of growing peppers in general, consider subscribing to the channel. We would really love to have you here. Now for the rest of these peppers, we're gonna be freezing them, and just to keep this video short, I'm not gonna go through the cutting process again, but just follow the same cutting process as we did when we were dehydrating them. If you have a vacuum sealer, grab your vacuum sealer, get it on the counter, get it ready, as well as taking your vacuum sealer bags and labeling them with the pepper varieties that are about to go into those bags. If you don't have a vacuum sealer, go ahead and get some just normal freezer bags like the Ziploc brand or anything like that, and label those ones. Those will work just fine. Normally, I literally just cram as many as I possibly can in there. I don't care if they smush or anything like that. I cram as many as I can in there, unless I'm specifically putting a smaller amount because I want to use that for a hot sauce recipe or something like that. If I don't have a specific plan for that specific bag of peppers, then I'm gonna be just cramming as many as I can in there. Some of the things we'll be using frozen peppers for are probably about 90% of it is gonna go towards hot sauces. We'll also be roasting some, putting some in stews, using them for tacos, enchiladas, stir fries, soup, be using them for breakfast with our omelet, maybe some pizza, just all kinds of things. When you freeze your peppers, you're preserving the flavor, but you're not preserving the texture. So once you thaw these out, they're not gonna have that crisp crunch like they normally do. They're gonna kind of be a little bit squishy. Now, if you don't have a vacuum sealer, you really wanna make sure you get all the air out of your freezer bags that you're using for your peppers. When you get them in your bag, you wanna kind of put them all at the bottom and squeeze all the air out, and then just kind of roll it up and just get all that air out before you seal that bag up, just so you can preserve them longer in the freezer, get all the air out that you possibly can. All right, now you've got your peppers in your bags, all the air's out of the bags. Go ahead and put them in your freezer. You would be surprised, even when you vacuum seal them and you're taking that down to such a small size, it can really fill your freezer up pretty quickly. I'm pretty sure my wife is gonna kill me earlier in the year because before we got a chest freezer, our entire normal food freezer was full of peppers. So we kind of didn't have a choice. We had to get a chest freezer. If you grow a lot of peppers, you probably put a lot of time and energy and effort into growing those peppers. So don't let all that time and effort get wasted by letting those peppers go bad on the counter. If you'd like to see more about the peppers we processed here today, check out this video right here where we harvested these same exact peppers, and I gave some really cool information about each one.